This is the Vision Neue Klasse X, and it provides a big insight into one of the most important BMWs ever. Neue Klasse? Even with my dodgy German, I know it means new class. BMW experts will recognize the significance. Back in 1962, the original Neue Klasse 1500 was the car that saved BMW from near bankruptcy. It also set a template for BMW design that the Bavarians very skillfully evolved over the next 3 decades.
Until they decided that polarizing opinion was much more fun. I mean, do you remember the Chris Bangle years? Before social media was even a thing, there was an online petition to get the poor guy fired. Unbelievable. BMW has lately given us the iX, the i7 and the XM. Bold and progressive to some, an offence to all things that are holy to others. Whatever your opinion, the Neue Klasse represents a massive reset. First, we had the saloon, and now we have this, the BMW Vision Neue Klasse X.
Look at that front end. This is a confident, robust and very cleanly surfaced car. Forget the recent adventures in polarization. The shock value here is that the Vision X looks a lot like a BMW, a wholly modern one, and rammed with new technology.
This isn't just about a new design language though. The Vision Neue Klasse Saloon and X crossover follow the Vision Circular and the iVision D concept cars in setting BMW on the path to full electrification and sustainability. There's a whole new approach to the interior and to the concept of connectivity. The hardware underneath is modular, so it will encompass electric cars from a 2 Series size saloon all the way up to a full-size X7 SUV. Front, rear and all-wheel drive will all be available in a variety of wheelbases and ride heights. The Vision Neue Klasse Saloon, well, that teases the new 3 Series, but that's some way off. It's this, likely to be called the iX3, that will land in showrooms first.
The Neue Klasse cars will use BMW's 6th generation lithium-ion batteries in 75, 90 and 105 kilowatt-hour capacities. Range, thermal efficiency and charging times are all said to be around 30% improved on the current setup. The hardware uses less rare earth materials such as cobalt and features more recycled nickel. The Neue Klasse has also been designed from the beginning to use far more secondary materials and will itself be much easier to recycle. Production is due to start in November in a brand new factory that's entirely fossil fuel free, but the car won't land in BMW showrooms until autumn 2025.
This really is a massive tech story. And here's an example, BMW's new supercomputer controller, the so-called Heart of Joy. Now this combines the hardware and software so that the car's powertrain and all the dynamic functionality, the traction control, the stability control systems, braking, all that stuff is all governed by one supercomputer rather than multiple sub-processors. Why does this matter? Because traditional ECUs suffer from a time lag, usually between 10 and 20 milliseconds. This, the Heart of Joy, great name, reduces that to just 1 millisecond.
Ironically, that should help deliver a more analog sensation, making this new-age BMW feel alert and interactive, as well as more efficient. EVs might be fast and powerful, but there's a certain sameness in how they behave. BMW reckons the Heart of Joy will give its cars distinct character. Over to Frank Weber, the Chief Technical Officer, who told me this: "Those of you who love the ultimate driving machine are going to love it. Some of the functions we have are crazy." Thanks, Frank. We're also talking about an architecture that can run 4 electric motors and a battery setup that's good for up to 1 megawatt of power. That's 1,340 bhp. No need to worry about the next M3 then.
That though is for another day, and I can't wait to come back to that one. Back to the here and now and the Vision Neue Klasse X. I'm joined by Kai Langer, who's the head of iDesign at BMW. Kai, my head is practically exploding trying to take in everything that you're doing around Neue Klasse. I mean, this is like the biggest thing BMW's ever done, someone said to me yesterday. The biggest investment for sure.
The biggest investment for sure, but also we have to be future-proof. That's the reason why we do it, and that's also the reason why you see an SAV implemented into our new architecture and how it would look like.
Okay, so you know, we've had some months to get familiar with what you've done with the Neue Klasse Saloon. Can you sum up in, I don't know, 2 or 3 kind of handy sound bites or phrases what the Neue Klasse design language, what is the essence of it?
2 or 3 is difficult though, because there's a lot, but if I have to boil it down, I would say it's uncomplicated, it's bold, it's reduced, iconic, cool and alive.
Okay, that was probably 5 or 6, but that's good, and they're all, I think I've remembered them all. There's a lot of interest, obviously, you know, BMW since the 62 Neue Klasse. In fact, you can go back to the 30s, the double kidney grille and the lights. You can say, we should start at the front here because you've done some pretty cool stuff here. So tell us about, well, tell me about the Neue Klasse approach to the front end.
I mean, you just mentioned it. We have a rich history, right? And we have a heritage, and obviously we have very, very strong icons. We've shown it already, a new interpretation on our icons into the phygital icons on the Neue Klasse sedan. And what we see here is exclusive interpretation for our SAVs, like a more vertical approach to our icons. And this is where we came up to add our jewelry pieces into our phygital icons.
There's no chrome here, no bright work.
No, there's no chrome, no real chrome. We don't want to use it for the future anymore because obviously, you know, it's hard to produce and to be environmentally friendly. So what we play again here is to replace the chrome with light.
Okay, that's cool. And so the double kidneys on the X models, so the SAVs, the off-road cars, they're going to be vertical, right? And
yes.
in Saloon, we've seen in the Neue Klasse Saloon, which we should go and have a look at actually, horizontal.
Yeah, I mean, it suits the concepts very well, we believe. So we have a dynamic, agile sedan, which is like more on the horizontal side of the concept, right? And obviously with SAVs, people like the presence these cars have, and since we have to be all over more efficient in its overall proportion, so the car becomes a little bit more lower, a little bit more aerodynamically efficient, nevertheless we want to give them that feel of presence with like a vertical exclusive icon.
Yeah, the belt line in this car is unusually low, isn't it? So that's the edge of the window line.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see that in the Neue Klasse as well. That's also quite a bold thing to do, isn't it? I mean, you can see it's low. Why have you gone with that approach?
I mean, we talked a lot, and I tend to talk a lot with people like you, with my team, and what they feel about cars. And that's very interesting because we are all human beings, right? And we also thought about and discussed about when it happened that cars become like the windows more narrow, and almost like tank style window surfaces, you know, almost to nothing, and then even tinted. So it all looks very aggressive, and we thought, I don't know, we don't think that the future should be that aggressive, and we want to include the people more towards what's happening outside, and there's nature, there are nice things, right? And we want to get light into the car, so this is where we decided to try to drop down the belt line to create more window surfaces. And to be honest, that also helps to make the car more agile, dynamic and lightweight, because if you remember 3.0 CSL, I mean that car had a very low belt line and a very big greenhouse, but nobody actually ever asked that this car is not dynamic. So it still works. You can be very dynamic and sportive, but without being aggressive, and I think, or we think that lower belt line and bigger window surfaces also play along with it.
Shall we get into it and have a look inside? So Kai, there are 4 main pillars to the interior, if I remember correctly. New multifunction steering wheel, panoramic vision display there, the central screen here, and the head-up display. Yeah? Yeah. Well, I don't know where we should start. I'll tell you one thing I've noticed straight away is it's I mean, it's not actually a 4-spoke wheel, is it? But we have a spoke here at the top of the steering wheel as well. And of course, in a normal car, or conventionally, we need that space to read the instrument display. But not here, because it's up there. I mean, that's the stroke of genius, isn't it? Using this area of real estate inside the car to actually have your instruments, basically.
And yeah, you just said it. We're using what's already there. You need a windshield, and to us it was like just the next logical step to project all the informations into the windshield, because we obviously know it works very well with our head-up display. And why not using it over the whole windshield width? and that obviously became our Vision panoramic display. And it works in the triangle of like the steering wheel and the right hand spoke. You can direct it to the CID or directly towards the panoramic vision display. And yeah, we believe that's like a whole new functionality for our customers and way more practical.
There's no iDrive controller. I'm old enough to have attended the launch of the E65 7 Series when that was first shown, and the you know, some of the criticism and confusion that followed that. But of course, everybody adopted it after that.
Everybody adopted it, and it worked very well. It also worked very well for us. So
Now you've got rid of it.
now we got rid of it, but we believe that what you get instead is no step backward. So instead you get like more functionality, more of the high-tech functions integrated into way more intuitive interaction.
Sure. So the functions that were done by the iDrive are now on this right-hand spar of the steering wheel, is that right?
Couple of them, and then you can go towards the CID and the central display.
Yep.
And also then you are able to basically shoot your functions and your icons to the panoramic vision display, so have it always in your field of view and functionality if you want.
So obviously you can personalize the central screen, but you can also slide it from here and then it appears over here.
Yep.
Incredible. What's your favorite bit in here? I mean, I'm just looking around and it does occur to me there's just a massive amount of technology going on, but then you look at the seat adjustment and how spare and sparse the door panel is.
I mean, this is really what my favorite bit on this car is, actually the overall appearance, because as you just said, that's the hardest thing, to have like this huge amount of technology and functionality that people expect from cars, to put it into a car that looks effortless, clean and easy, you know, very welcoming and suited to you as a human being, to us as a human being, and you don't have to fear anything, but nevertheless you get all the functionality. That is my favorite bit, and that you actually feel home and very comfortable.
Incredible. And I love this. I don't know why I really like it. I mean, is this stuff that can we expect this for real? I mean, obviously you know, the function of a vision car or a concept car is to kind of, you know, you have a bit of fun with it. You show us, tease us with some things that we're definitely going to see, and then have some fun with things that we're not going to see.
We'll find always good show cars which promote ideas that somewhere found a way into production. And I can tell you from day one with the iCircular, every idea that we showcased has a serious reason behind it. And some people could say that we became more and more close to reality functions in products. So you can expect all of our ideas you find here on this car being somehow developed in a certain stage and be found somewhere in our cars.
The new iDrive bridges the gap between this being a car and something that the owner really wants to interact and coexist with. It's sustainable, high-tech, but warm and human-centric. And if you thought the world had gone totally SUV, well, think again.
Well, look what we found.
Yeah, look what's there, right?
The Neue Klasse. And it's inescapably a saloon, which is a kind of, you know, car archetype that we're being told is not important anymore.
You've been told it's not important?
No, I love it. I mean, I'm a saloon guy. I love saloons, but I'm quite old.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy to show you then that the future for a sedan is not that yet. So this is actually what we believe in. I mean, this is where we started from, right? This is when we talk about the Neue Klasse, the old Neue Klasse in 1961. It started with a sedan. It started with a mid-size sedan and created its own segment basically for BMW, and started all the success for BMW. So
what was so important about that car design-wise for you?
I mean, it brought it down to a point. You know, it was in a way simplistic and offered a lot of functionality down to the point. Like really, it didn't mess around with yeah, you can do this, you can this. It did a bold statement and was working very, very well for its purposes. So people obviously liked it, and that kept going. And obviously, we spread it over our whole family, and we made a lot of products and portfolio out of it.
Sure.
So, and with this car, we actually talk about our heritage in that mid-size sedan and say like, okay, fans, people, customers, sedan is not dead and could also be brought into the future, where a lot of people think that a sedan doesn't have a place anymore, but we believe it does have.
Okay, so this was the car that you first showed your hand, set out the new template for the design language going forward. What are the essential aspects on the Neue Klasse Saloon that we should be looking at?
I mean, we thought it makes sense to start again where we just base our success from with the Neue Klasse. And when we call it Neue Klasse, obviously it should have been a sedan. And again, we thought about like, okay, let's bring it down to the essence of BMW. So what is like a true to the bone DNA BMW? And obviously you find it within this car. It has like a very well balanced overall proportion. It again has like a low belt line. It looks agile, very dynamic, but without being aggressive.
So I mean, I remember when I first saw it, it was the positioning of the rear right at the top.
That was controversial, right?
Yeah.
We knew that this would be like the thing, but we believed that it makes sense, you know, to include it. And I mean, I still believe that's the right move, because it continues like and follows the overall sculpture and form and then logic, and then creating the function there in a part which is obviously way easier to manufacture in that precision than steel or like aluminum.
A lot of clever stuff going on inside as well. I mean, some of it is LEDs and some of it is magic, smoke and mirrors without the smoke. And just to sum up, this sort of the essence of the Neue Klasse as seen in this car and in the Vision X, these are ideas, concepts, approaches that you can then apply across the board to the whole range.
That's the plan, of course. I mean, we
sports car, Kai. How about a sports car?
You name it. I mean, we got plenty of cars in our portfolio, right? So, but obviously, that is the plan, and that's the idea behind the whole design strategy and design and form language that we show here, is that it could apply to all of our cars, that the story works for all of them, but without losing each individual character for each product, because this is something BMW is known for, that all of our cars have their own character, and we want to keep it that way, but they all belong to the same family then.
Truly, this is a brave new world. BMW knows full well that its buyers don't just want a giant smartphone on wheels. We all crave that emotional connection that you can only get from a well-sorted car. The signs are that these Neue Klasse models will deliver on that. And besides, combustion engine cars will still be available, well, for now.